I really did enjoy last week's session with Lewis, watching it all back with you all discussing. I thought it was really good. Yeah, I want to get your feedback as well. And then, yeah, we're going to look at purpose, vision, and goals today. Nice to see Javita here. I thought it was a public holiday today, Javita. So thank you for breaking your holiday. All good. So great to see you all. I shall do a quick share screen and then we shall get into some discussions together. So uh, today we're going to talk about purpose, vision, and goals. And how important it is to define them. If I went out on the street and I asked 100 people in my local high street what their purpose, what their vision, what their goal is, how many do you think would actually be able to give me a straight answer or a clearly defined answer? Anyone like to hazard a guess? Has anyone ever done it? Do you know what I might do? I might go and get a microphone and a little video camera, and get a couple of people and actually go out and test this theory. If-
Probably, probably not that many, Mark. I think people in general kind of get wrapped up. You have your working hours, whether it's 8 hours of a day or whatever it may be, and you have those two separate lives. You go to work, do your job, and then go home, kind of thing.
So one of the things that was said to me many years ago by a very successful guy was most people are too busy making a living to make a fortune. Does that
Yeah,
kind of fit into what you're talking about?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's all right. It's part of it. It's part of the fact that this is what we do. We've got to make it all happen and keep the momentum going. And it's difficult, isn't it, to juggle all these plates, I guess, if you want to call them that. Juggle all these balls or spin all these plates. So very, very important, I think, that we understand as a group here how important purpose, vision, and goals is. I can see the chat box there. Audrey says, "I'll be one of those ones who doesn't." Thank you, Audrey. Yeah, if I go out and start having conversations in the street with people about what's your purpose, vision, and goal, I think it would be a very, very interesting discussion because I don't think many people would be able to give me a straight answer. I don't think many people have even thought about it, for various reasons, by the way. So that's okay. You're not here to criticize. We're here to observe and improve and help. So important discussion, I feel. So you're doing all the good stuff. Contribute, please. I can see you in the chat box already, which is wonderful. Do contribute. You know who we are. Money Remixed. If you have read it, I know a few of you are still reading it. But if you have read Money Remixed, would you be so kind as to go on to Amazon and leave us a review? Preferably 4 or 5 stars would be lovely. But I'm not. Oh, oh, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just asking if you would go and do a money remix review. That would be massively appreciated by us once you've completed it. And we will have audiobook news and a few other things happening very, very soon as well. So all for the greater good. But as I say, it would be massively appreciated. So yeah, second book is out. Third book is in the planning stages, ready to be released later this year. So that's all positive. And we need to understand who we are. I'm going to ask you some stuff about your strengths and your potential limiters shortly around purpose, vision, and goals and the relevance to, what I saw Lewis do last week, nicely was connect fears with the e-colors in a way to get people thinking. And there was some really interesting feedback from that conversation and things that are on our mind to do further surveys on, etc. as well. So it's really useful for all of us. Um, but understand who you are. Be grateful for the fact that you're even here and you woke up this morning. You can take a breath. Um, I was talking to one of my good friends and coaching clients the other day, and I was explaining about the attitude of gratitude because many people don't really understand it. But if I told you that I wake up in pain every single morning, from with my legs. Like I wake up in pain every single morning with my legs. It's very difficult for me to get up and get moving for the first hour or so, certainly, maybe even 2 hours. Um, I'm still hugely grateful for the pain because it's about learning. It's about, right, what else can I do? What else can I improve upon that's actually going to get me to a better place of not being in pain in my legs? That's the importance of gratitude. And it's easy for me to just say it, but I think if I back it up with the fact that, I feel grateful even for pain, I think that's something that you can take away and think about in your own lives as well. Belief and confidence, overcoming fears. We're going to talk about what Lewis spoke to you all about last week, which I thought was really great, as I said. Um, and then we need to be talking about the purpose, vision, and goals, which is today. PMA all the way, positive mental attitude, leadership and teamwork. And then, of course, it always leads to money and growth, which is what we're looking to do. You all understand that e-colors concept, and we can all access any of these areas at any given time. But it's very much about understanding where we are at a given moment. So, are we in very much do mode, or in very much empathy mode, or indeed engagement, or indeed thinking? But understanding that about ourselves, having a play and pause button and personal intervention is a massively important coaching tool for any human being, which is an important piece of why we do what we do. You know, mine and Emma's percentages, you can see how opposites attract, but you can also see how there's a lot of similarities between us. We both like to get things done in the red, and we both have lots of empathy in the blue. We just have different ways of going about it, which is important in a relationship. And again, thank you for Duncan for doing this visual, but also thank you to all of you for your continued commitment to growth and understanding of these subjects. So, if we talk about last week, Lewis sends his apologies today. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here, but he was very interested to see any sort of further observations. So, I tie this into Life Remix coaching, which is where are you on your fulfillment grid? And if you look at all 9 of these boxes, you need to be thinking about the fact, am I working in every one of these 9 boxes? Am I doing something? Could be something small, but am I doing something in each of these? Because a lot of coaching clients come to me where they only live in the career box, or they only live in the relationship box. And when one of those goes not great, they feel lost, empty, lonely, etc. You name it. All the negative emotions come out. And if you just put, if you just put everything into, excuse me, if you put everything into spiritual growth, they'll probably come and take your house, right? So you need to make sure that you've got a nice balance across all of these 9 boxes. But again, that's something that I work with my one-to-one clients with as well to make sure they're feeling fulfilled. So, observations from last week. Quite a few of you spoke. I would really love any of you now just any reflections on what you've thought about in the last week. I can see a couple of you on the screen that I'd like to ask anyway, but anyone just like to go? I'll tell you what, I'll start with Paul Hutchinson. Paul, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Paul, just I do have your new book here. Amplify your brand. There you go. Well done. Well played. So
Thank you,
that's
Dan.
Paul
Thank you.
Hutchinson's new. But Paul's working with me on social media, and you'll see quite a bit of my social media start to change in the coming weeks and months. It started already. So, Paul, thoughts on last week about overcoming fears and building confidence?
Yeah, I thought it was really strong. I mentioned my thing about not necessarily a fear, but something that I felt was holding me back at the time. And it's nice to share things like that. Again, it's something that people don't think about enough, I don't think. So yeah, I think places like this allow us to really start thinking along these lines, because I personally don't think like that a lot of the time.
Mm,
And this is coming on these every week now is kind of making me look at things in a different way, which is really
good.
useful.
I think self-awareness is the important piece to this. If we're self-aware, then we can manage ourselves, right? And if we manage ourselves, there's a great quote coming up a little bit later in the deck. But it basically aligns to, you're the only problem you'll ever have, and you're the only solution. And that's quite interesting for all of us, right? Every single human being. But if we understand that we're the only problem we'll ever have, therefore we are the only solution, and managing ourselves is actually how we get what we would like to get out of life. I think that's a really, really key point for us to take on board. So thank you, Paul. And yes, you did share a great piece last week. So thank you for that. It was really good. I can see Reed. Reed, would you like to just unmute for a minute? Thoughts since last week? You there, Reed?
One sec.
That's it. I can hear you.
You can hear me now, yeah? That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing as a really powerful session last week. which came in the right time for me. So yeah, it was really good. Nice and follow up sessions during the week. Just after that, I had a couple of follow up sessions as well with yourself and Lewis. So no, extremely powerful session last week. Really enjoyed it.
And certainly overcoming, sort of thinking about overcoming fears and building extra confidence is an ongoing piece for all of us, right?
Absolutely, you're managing managing the constant, which is change, right? So constant change, and whether it's small change or big changes, it's just managing that in the right way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Brilliant, mate. Thank you. Scott Quar, would you like to just comment on last week?
Yeah, I think just for me personally, I think a lot of it's kind of based on, I don't know if I would say it's fear, but definitely related to some of my potential limiters, getting emotional and enthusiastic, but getting impatient as well. So it's trying to get some level ground instead of getting up in the morning, starting doing some stuff, and the garden's rosy, everything's good. Get a little setback, and then you, excuse the French, get pissed off.
Mm.
So it's trying to keep those emotions kind of level, Mark,
Mm.
instead of those troughs and peaks type of thing.
The great point, and then you only have to think of the subjects we're studying, right? Life remixed and equilibria. These are things that we're working on, aren't we, to balance ourselves out to actually get to a place where we can be successful without feeling those emotions, Scott. So brilliant shout, mate. Thank you. A few others I can see on the screen. Who's able to speak? Angela, were you able to talk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
How do you think?
yeah, I think the 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 fear of ill health, I think I've cracked that now because by being grateful for being ill in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's a good demonstration of our gratitude can turn that fear around, really. I still think I've got the fear of criticism, but I understand that better now because that's actually part of my perfectionism relating to my e-colors.
Mm.
So the other ones I'm not fearful, I don't think, of the other ones in that list of six, I think it is. So yeah, it was a really good session last week. Really enjoyed it.
And it gave you some food for thought, right? For
It
people
did.
to take that away. Yeah. So it's interesting from the red yellow perspectives of Reed and Scott, to the green blue perspective of yourself. There's something for everybody in all of this, right? So really, really important. Who else can I see? Who else? Carolyn. Carolyn, can you speak?
Yeah,
How did you find last week?
I I really really loved it,
Mm.
and I it just showed me where I've still got to work on a couple of things. So one of mine is fear of poverty and death,
Yeah.
and funny enough, I had a hypnotherapy session to with a friend of mine, and what was interesting is what comes out of our unconscious comes into the conscious.
Yeah.
And sometimes we think we've healed something or worked on something, and then it comes to face us in real life. And I had that situation late last week. So it was a really powerful week for me of just observing, not going into the, full blown panic
Yeah.
and then coming back out and then carrying on
So that's
and
lovely.
then
I mean, and that's a
redirecting my thoughts.
that's a lovely observation from a top blue yellow perspective, isn't it? To actually to be able to overcome that, actually be aware of it, overcome it, and then move that forward. The things I want to say is like every day's a school day for all of us. Every day's a school day. But if we can get to that mindset of absolute observation of what's going on, rather than getting caught up in the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, whatever it might be, that's a really great example, Carolyn, that we're all learning, right? So. Yeah, great stuff, and
Thank you.
thank you all very much for integrating last week. It's great to see Penny here, by the way, as well. Penny, great to see you on camera. I hope you're well. Everything okay? Yeah, okay. I got the thumbs up. That's all right then. Steve, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think a lot of my fears, I'm reflecting, I'm learning, as you know, Mark, all the time.
Mm.
And I mean, a lot of my fears come from possibly that I could destroy loved ones' expectations,
Hmm.
because I think there's certain things that I found that I've got fear in moving forwards on. Not for me, because I think I can always bounce back. If it was just me on my own, in this world, no one responsible to,
Mm.
I don't think half the time it wouldn't be a problem. But I think because I've got close loved ones that I love dearly and are going to be with me for the rest of my life,
Mm.
if I make a decision that could affect some of those goals, visions, aspirations for them, I think that's my biggest fear.
That's really interesting, and I think you and I have had that discussion. I can understand where that. I think everyone can relate to what you just said, Steve. My challenge to that would be that um, those people love you, and so therefore they don't want you to be unhappy or in fear. And I think that that's a really key point. Now, I'm not, it's about finding balance in everything, isn't it? But I think it's a really, really good point to understand that, you don't need to fear that necessarily. I think if you're able to have really great open conversations with all the people around you, and this is all of us, if we're able to do that, then I think we get to a place where we can be our most creative and effective selves. So, really good point, Steve. Thank you. Stacey says, looking for the lessons in things I perceive to be bad and finding gratitude in the lesson. That's very, very important, Stacey. Yeah, yeah. And it's an ongoing piece for all of us. But finding the gratitude is a key point. I'm assuming that Heather can't speak because she's because she's in the office. Yeah, and Jack, I'm assuming you're in the office as well.
Well,
Oh, okay, okay.
I didn't. I rewatched the video anyway. I was dropping in and out last week because I was busy. But to be fair, the main thing I got out of it was, I don't know if you remember, Mark, but probably about 3 years ago, I called you because I was driving to one of my old jobs and I started having a panic attack driving to work. First panic attack I've ever had, and it's because I was thinking about death.
Mm.
Which was, I'd never had a panic attack before, and I never really feared death before, but I just randomly started having these thoughts, and I had to pull over. And
So that's the subconscious, like literally just throwing something up to you that you'd never even consciously thought of before.
yeah, so yeah, I've been sort of the last week. I feel like, well, yeah, I've just been trying to live in the present. I've been taking things back to basics and downloaded your positivity pack, Mark, and just taking it all back to basics, and yeah, just sort of restarting, if you like. So
it's an ongoing journey, mate. The remix is an ongoing journey for sure.
it is, yeah.
But yeah, it never ends, and that's the key point. We've got to keep learning every day. And your point in the practitioner group about the ADHD piece, there was a really good discussion that went on around that, and certainly I'll be Lewis and I are talking more about that. It's a very important thing, I think, to understand. If any of you go back to Life Remixed, a dis-ease is two separate words, and the same could be said for a disorder. Think about that. A disorder is something that's very important to understand. You must hyphenate that word as well. So we'll pick up on that another time, but I think it's an interesting point.
I am here, Mark. I just didn't see last week.
Oh, that's all right, Heather. No, it's good. I didn't know if you could speak or not, because sometimes you
Yeah,
can.
I'm all right today.
How are you, though? You okay?
I'm fine, thank you. In some positive news to share with those that have seen me for a little while, I resigned a couple of weeks ago. I've got a new job.
Oh, could you?
So
you were struggling a bit with with certain people, right?
Yeah. So yeah, positive news and moving forward. So
where are you going? Anywhere interesting?
yeah, Haven Holidays for the caravan parks.
Oh, okay, lovely. Okay, and they're across the country, are they?
Yeah, so I'm doing north, so everything from Tenby in South Wales to Edinburgh.
Amazing.
So everything north. So yeah.
Well, I look forward to catching up with you about that.
Yeah,
well done.
cool.
Well done. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's very interesting there that people don't leave the role that they're in, but they end up leaving the people that they can't communicate with or struggle with. Right. So it's a really interesting point. So well done, Heather. Thank you. Yeah, and Reed said Lewis's quote from last week: "There's only so many heartbeats, so let's not let's not waste any heartbeats." I think very, very key around that. So yeah, absolutely. Important, I think, overcoming fear, because if we don't overcome fear, we're going to struggle in general to build that confidence and then get to purpose, vision, and goals. And I think that might be something to do with the fact that if I went out on the street and asked lots of people, "What's your purpose, vision, and goals?" they'd look at me blankly or not be able to give me a straight up answer, because it might be that they're living in that place of just surviving and almost a little bit of fear as well. So you can see how these things are all connected. So you do need to know where you are in order to be able to do something about any kind of challenges and managing fear. And this fulfillment grid, I think, is a very, very important thing. We've got it in the Life Remix coaching and the positivity pack that Jack was talking about there as well. So let's talk about your purpose, right? You don't just pick up things you like doing by chance, okay? You discover and then you decide. Ultimately, a lot of people are sort of sitting back and waiting for something amazing to happen. the decision-making process comes in. You discover, you decide what you're good at because you were meant to discover it and meant to decide upon it. And the only way you're going to get there is by trying different things and finding different things that you're really passionate about. You have specific talents, you have special gifts that you've been given in order to help you define your purpose and why you do what you do. And a lot of us, if we're just making enough money for everything that we need, that's not really a life of purpose. There is more to it than that. We need to look a bit deeper at times. And I'm not asking you to do it all day in, day out. I'm just asking you to think about it from time to time and go, is this aligned? And I'll show you how the e-colors kind of fit with that as well. And why are you here? Why are you doing what you're doing? So who can share their own clearly defined purpose? I think you all know mine. To bring joy, knowledge, inspire, and create so that other people learn to live, love, and enjoy their lives to the full. And I'm committed to that, and I will not stop until my last breath, till my last heartbeat. I will not stop. But can you share your own clearly defined purpose? Have you got one? I know some of you have. I know Steve and Reed and some of the people I work with closely one-to-one, you're working on it. Anyone like to sort of share something that's relevant to them?
Yeah, I'll read mine out actually again, Mark, because I have it here on my desk when I'm working from home.
Yeah, please do.
And my purpose is to bring love, adventure, abundance, and creativity in my life to feel and be connected to others.
Beautiful. Absolutely lovely. And what vehicles and how are you doing that? Because I know Carolyn, obviously, you're in a good job, etc., with a good company. Without going into any more detail than that, do you manage to do that in your work life, or is it something? Because I know you're writing your book as well, so the book will help you with that. But how are you doing that? What things jump out at you?
So in terms of creativity, I've really worked on that with my leader to make sure that I'm involved with projects where I can bring that creative flair in. And I'm actually working on a really big project at the moment for like the last 6 months, which gives me that creativity. I can't go into details, obviously, because it's confidential. But
Carolyn, did you go and have that conversation with your boss, and say that this is something that's really important to me?
Because I'd identified where my strengths are, and I said I want to play to those strengths more.
Brilliant.
So because he understands that now, it's looking for those opportunities of, I might not be in my ideal role, but while I'm there, how can I bring in my strengths more so that I'm feeling more motivated to work and show up each day?
That's fantastic, Carolyn. Well done. And the Carolyn I know from previously from quite a few years ago when we first did our sort of 12 months together, I don't necessarily think you'd have done that, would you?
No.
So
and
I
think it's given me the confidence to speak out, not just to always accept what's given to me. It's having that confidence also to challenge. No, actually, this isn't really aligned with my skills. That is where I am. But it's really tricky when you're getting paid a salary because you can't say no.
Yes, yeah, and I think the key point is not necessarily to be saying no, but actually just being honest about your strengths, as you said. And I think that's an amazing piece of work. And certainly I encourage people to, once they've got their e-colors report and they're comfortable with it and they're living with it and they've read it and they understand where their strengths are, where their potential limiters are, I encourage you to share it with your boss. And just say, look, I'm really comfortable doing this part of the role. There are other things that I would like to explore, like what Carolyn said. And Penny said there, that's lovely. Yeah, it is. It's really good. And possibly a lesson in there for many of us there on this call about bringing our strengths in there. Thank you, Carolyn. Audrey says to challenge and stimulate thinking in a safe environment so we can learn and grow together. That's brilliant, Audrey. I don't think you can speak, can you, Audrey? Are you muted? Can you talk?
I can a little bit, but there's probably a bit of background noise.
Oh, you're okay. I'm just interested in how that's going for you in your current role and how you feel about the progress.
It's going all right, but I don't think I get enough opportunity to challenge and stimulate thinking. So the learning and growing together, that's going okay, but that first bit just is not really working out. But I might have to kind of find ways how I can get that to work.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's right. And I think, that's the key point there is to understand where the gap is, almost like a gap analysis, isn't it? Understand where the gap is for any one of us and go, yeah, okay, so I'm not managing to do that. So why am I not managing to do that? Okay. And then it's a constant improvement, continual improvement piece, as is leadership and what you train, Audrey. So brilliant. Yeah, thank you. That's really good. Really good. Jason Anker says, I live with passion, integrity, love, and gratitude to inspire others to live beyond fear. That's beautiful, Jason. Lovely. Jason, are you there? Do you want to unmute for a second?
Me, but no, I'm really ill. I've got a real bad cold.
Oh no, have you? Oh
That's
God.
why I was late. I've dragged myself out of bed to get on the cold. So I think
Oh, mate. Okay, sorry. Well, in that case, I'll leave you alone. But get well, yeah.
that's all right. Yeah. All I'll add there, I'll add a little bit, is like, obviously we've been working on my purpose review for the last few years,
Mm.
and I've discovered my purpose. But then it was for me, and I've realised a true purpose. What you've helped me learn is for other people.
Mm.
So when I first started doing my presentations, it was all about trying to make people not be like me, not an accident. Whereas now I try to inspire people to be like me.
Yeah.
It's my life. So yeah,
That's
why.
that's amazing. And I want you to know, Jason, just while we're here, I want you to know how many people have told me that they've seen a difference over the last few years. Going from don't be like me to actually be like me, and here's all the things I've learned. I think it's just so inspiring, Jason, and I think your next book is going to be an absolute win. So get yourself.
I'll go back to silence again. I'm here, but I'm not here.
Yeah. Get yourself well, mate. Wrap yourself up warm and all that. But yeah, I had a bit of a rough one a couple of weeks ago. So good stuff. Steve's written a beautiful one in there as well. Continually grow as a leader. I won't read all of that, Steve, but thank you for sharing that. That's fantastic. Paul Hutchinson there thinking about his purpose now. That's really cool, Paul. Yeah, and what Paul's written there is my purpose is to inspire and empower others to live with joy, confidence, and creativity, whether I'm behind the decks or by their side as a coach. And that's really important. That's really important because that's exactly what I realized was that music was a vehicle for me to live my purpose as a DJ, and therefore coaching, writing books, e-colors, equilibria, everything that I do is aligned with my purpose. You saw Paul Grant in the chat box there as well, so he's got 8 purposes in his life. Paul and I had a really interesting discussion about that, and Money Remixed is actually the outcome of that discussion, in so much as I just have one overarching purpose, which is a big umbrella for everything I do, whereas Paul's purposes are a bit more specific, and that's where the e-colors come in, because the red-green mind like Paul's puts them down into more specifics, whereas a yellow-red like mine just sort of puts out a big umbrella and goes, right, I'll make everything fit to that. So there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's really about yourself and how you see it and how you feel it. Really interesting discussion. Thank you. Napoleon Hill wrote, what a different story people, not just men, but people would have to tell if only they would adopt a definite purpose and stand by that purpose until it had time to become an all-consuming obsession. What a beautiful thing. And that's essentially what I've done in the last 15 years. That's what Paul Grant has done. That's what other successful people do, is create a purpose, decide it, refine it, do what you need to do, and then say, right, this is it. And it's an all-consuming obsession. And I will keep doing it to my last breath and my last heartbeat, and I'll succeed. That's a powerful statement to make to the universe, to, however you want to define that. But ultimately, it's an important thing for you as an individual to really create something. James Allen, who wrote an amazing book called As a Man Thinketh, now would be As a Person Thinks. Until thought is linked with purpose, there is no intelligent accomplishment. Now think about that for a moment. Until thought is linked with purpose, there is no intelligent accomplishment. So actually, we're all thinking, or fearing, or doing whatever we're doing day in, day out. That is not necessarily positive thinking, positive mental attitude, and therefore we're maybe not accomplishing intelligently what we would really like to accomplish in life. And I think that's an important thing to start to piece together. And it doesn't happen overnight, which is why I work with people for at least 12 months one-to-one when I do, because it's such a key thing to do. This bloke said something. He said, a purpose will ensure you feel motivated and help you decide how to spend your time. And again, very, very important. How are you going to spend your time on this planet? We only got so many heartbeats, as Lewis would have said. So you understand, it took time. I've told you what it is. and it's important. Joy, knowledge, inspire, create. That's why I do these calls. That's why I do everything in my life. I want to do something joyous or knowledgeable to share, learn, inspire people, create things, create books, live, love, and enjoy your life to the full. That's my purpose. That's why I'm on this planet, and I'm going to keep doing it. That's me. So, but Bill Gove said, you better know who you are, essentially. If you want to be free, you've got to be yourself. There's a great line in the Shawshank Redemption that Emma accidentally put on the other day. And it said a really great line. It says, some birds are not meant to be caged. And I really did like that. I think it's interesting. You know, we must all find our way. We must all find our roots. We must all find ourselves in that way so that we don't feel caged, you know, so that we feel free. That's an important part of growth as a human being. But if I want to be free, I've got to be me. So I better know who me is. Okay. And e-colors is a great start. We'll look at that in a second as well. Understanding who or what we are. You're not just a name. You're not just a body. You're not just your mind, because you can change your mind. So therefore, if you can change your mind, you're not just your mind. So what are you? Essentially, we live in a physical world. We have intellect, which is thoughts and feelings. But we also have the I, the spirit, the energy, the soul that can decide, can use the mind and use the body to be in a good and or negative way, right? So you have this stuff, you have your physical body, you have your mind, and you've been given emotions in order to feel things. If you feel bad, make a change. If you feel good, keep going. Simple as that, right? But it takes work, effort, like going to the gym, you know, very, very important. Are you listening and continually improving based on your emotions? And are you using all these tools to have to your very best? Now, I can run through that in a minute, but essentially it's a lifelong learning, I would suggest. And we never stop learning, I hope. That's the key point. Okay, you must have an open mind, and you must be willing to look at this and go, okay, am I going to change? Do I want to change my future? Do I want to change my attitude? I did. Scott says there, I keep thinking about treat people as the way they would like to be treated, Scott. Yeah, for sure. Treat people as they would like to be treated, and you will be successful for sure. Here's the quote from Robert Kiyosaki. He says, if you realize that you're the problem, then you can change yourself, learn something new, and grow wiser. Do not blame other people for your problems. And that's a key point. Yeah, that's a key point. I spent a large part of my life blaming my parents for various things. Now I just observe them, love them, judge them. Don't judge them, I should say. Observe them, love them, but not blaming other people for your problems is key. And that goes back to, you are the only problem you'll ever have, and you are the only solution. So, you know, to quote the Shawshank Redemption again, get busy living or get busy dying. Which one do you want? You know, which one you're going to go with? Your attitude is the result of what you think, what you feel, and the words, and then indeed your actions. But don't blame others. It's important to take that personal responsibility. We have the power to change our thinking. We do. You've heard some people. You heard Carolyn say she's changed her thinking and the way she's produced something and put something to her boss in a different way. Changing that feeling, changing that attitude is key because we all have the power to change our thoughts. We use this at the end of the e-color sessions, actually. It's the foundation of a better life. What's your thoughts? Because they become words, words become actions, actions become habits, habits become character, character becomes destiny, and then ultimately that becomes legacy. And actually, it's a very important piece to understand that it all starts with a thought. If you think about Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, it is think first. Think first. That's the key bit. Think about yourself. Think about your situation. Think about your purpose. Think about your money. Think about whatever it might be. And then grow. And that's the growth piece. That's what we're all sharing and talking about. And then potentially, you know, there's the opportunity to become wealthy in many different areas, not just financially, but in many different areas. Andrew Carnegie said to Napoleon Hill, there are two envelopes of life. And actually, before I'll go on to the next one. The two envelopes of life. These are the penalties you'll neglect for failing to take possession of your own mind. I'll go back to the positives in a second. If you have ill health, fear and worry, indecision and doubts, frustrations and discouragements, poverty and want, and a whole flock of other things, this is all the language that was used at the time. If you don't take possession of your own mind, you will end up with one, if not more, of these. And it's not good. It's not good. taking control of your own mind is massively important, because if you take control of your own mind, you could end up here, which is sound health, peace of mind, a labour of love of your own choice, freedom from any fears and worries, a positive mental attitude, and then material riches of your own choice and quantity. Now, to me, that sounds like heaven on earth. And I'm not religious, right? But ultimately, that sounds like a description of heaven on earth. And I feel that if we can work on our own mind, we will get to these places. I believe I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have all of those. Sound health, waking up in pain is still tricky. But the rest of those, I'd say I'm relatively comfortable in. I think it's very, very important to understand. So again, I go to the personal trainer twice a week now, to try and get my body working properly again, with my legs functioning fully. But that's important. That's an important thing that I do. You would have your own decisions to make. But I want you to live in this envelope, okay, called riches, rather than the penalties, because the penalties are not good and problematic for all of us. Investing in yourself is the best decision you'll ever make. It's funny, talking to people about the eColors premium report, which is, like $40, $50 or $40 with the practitioner discount, and people going, oh, I'm not sure. It's like most people will spend more money on their car than they do in their mind and their body, right? It's quite an amazing piece to understand. But invest in you because you're worth it. You're absolutely worth it. And then decide to believe in yourself and do it now. Bob said, in any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The next best thing is the wrong thing, and the worst thing you can do is no thing. And I think that's an important point. Making decisions is an important piece of how we progress in life. I've made decisions about the rest of my day today, and these are the things I'm going to do today. And I continue to do that. So let's discuss this. A negative mind will never give you a positive life. Do our potential limiters come under the negative mindset, or indeed, a negative mind? So if we said a negative mind will never give you a positive life, if we look at our e-colors, do you think our potential limiters come under a negative mind? What's your thoughts? I'm going to show them on the next screen, actually, but
I'd say no, because you can learn from them and they can make you think differently about things. So I would say no.
Thank you. And I would also just notice that I've put, you can see that I've made a typo there, which Emma would have a nightmare about, but I've actually made a typo with the speech marks there.
Oh no, I've just seen that. That's bugging me now.
That's my bad. Sorry to all the greens on the call. Really important point. Thank you, Heather. Yeah, for sure. I guess what we're saying really is potential limiters could come under a negative mind unless we decide to work on them, which actually gives us an opportunity to look at those and think, okay, hang on a second, I'm going to do something about this. Let's look at this. So we'll come on to that in a moment, but with your purpose, what do I love to do? And put this exercise down so that, to do something so that, yeah, to da 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 da, so that da 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 da, and don't make it about yourself or money. Or anything else. Just start to think about things that you enjoy doing, you're good at, and that you can monetize in due course, yes. But let's look at these things so we can actually find a purpose for our life. I think it's very important, especially as we get older. Very, very key point. So most people don't, find their purpose or discover it. They basically just do something. They put themselves in a situation and something occurs. This younger, thinner looking version of Mark discovered his purpose in Manchester and started talking and sharing experiences and felt really great about that, and therefore just kept going and going and going. The 18 months I couldn't walk for were harrowing in my 30s, but I started to vision myself, purpose vision. This was bringing joy to people. I got sponsored, as you can see, and I didn't have any money myself, but I just brought joy to a lot of people by running that marathon, finishing the marathon, and the reality of the fact of the matter that I was in agony. And I'm laughing because Andy Ward, I don't know if you can hear me, Andy, or if you're available, but that moment of crossing the finishing line where you shared your video the other day. Are you there, Andy? Don't worry if you're not. But that key point there, very much.
I am here, Mark, but my computer's really messing up, so I don't think I'd be able to conduct a proper conversation.
But can you speak just quickly or not?
Can you hear me okay? It's not cutting out.
That's absolutely fine. absolutely fine. But that moment that you shared of you crossing the marathon finishing line the other day reminded me a little bit of my picture there. But is it fair to say that part of your purpose and vision is running those marathons to keep yourself fit?
Ah, completely, yeah. Inspired by a lot of the people here on these calls as well. I think I said a few weeks ago, someone said to me, "Well, why don't you do it?" And I took it as a personal challenge. And so here I am, 2 marathons later, and I'm going to run another one in 2 weeks.
Is it 2 weeks? Is it in Ibiza?
Yeah,
Wow. All right. Well, we look forward to seeing the crossing the finishing line. But the key point is to hold the vision of
yeah, completely. I'm not 100% fit as well, so that's going to be a challenge in itself, but I'm determined to do it.
You can do it, mate. You can do it. Determined is a good word. Thank you, mate.
Good luck. One was enough for me.
Who was that, Heather?
Yeah.
Okay. So which one did you do, Heather?
I did London as well.
Okay,
It's a
good.
target before I turned 40. I wanted to do a marathon.
Yeah.
What one done and dusted, 5 hours 42.
So that's good. That's good. And so for the training piece, you trained your body to go out and run and run and run, and you got build that up and up and up. Did you do anything with your mind regarding the sort of visualization of? I did visualizing crossing the finish line.
The only mental thing I had to do was lay my clothes out and my trainers out and everything the night before, so that when I got up in the morning, the first thing I did was put those on. If I hadn't laid them out, then I wouldn't go out. And I found it was always the first 20 minutes was, once I got past that first 20 minutes of run, then I was fine. But it's that first 20 minutes was always the hardest. But anything after that, I was generally all right. But I had to lay those clothes out, otherwise I wouldn't go out.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting. And certainly, yeah, overcoming that first bit is the tough bit, isn't it? And it's the same for all of us. So purpose, vision, creating a vision, thinking about your vision, why are you doing what you're doing, and then creating something that actually is on the screen of your mind is how you tend to achieve things. If you think about it retrospectively, you might go back and think about how you became whoever you are today and think to yourself, oh, I've envisioned this to actually happen, which is really important. So look ahead always and visualize the person that you would like to become is very key. Frankie, stop it. So I visualize walking again, running the marathons, writing books, getting married, multiple properties, multiple businesses, being a coach, public speaking, working with Equilibrium. I've visualized all of this years before. But actually, then I could look back and say, actually, I realized I'd actually visualized DJing and record production as well when I was young. Emma, I don't know if you're about, but Frankie's going nuts. Can you come and help, please? So I also realised that the fears that I held, I'd actually visualised as well, and manifested them as a disease and a bankruptcy, and that was really hard. That was really hard to accept, really tough to understand, and I think that we need to understand that our fears can also cause us to have visions that can also come true. So again, there's a great quote: "If you knew the power of a negative thought, you would never have another one." And I think that's very, very important.
Can I just share a little
Yes.
thought on that one? When I was pregnant with my now daughter, my husband had a lot of he has lots of obtrusive thoughts in general anyway. And he'd had a particular one all sort of around the pregnancy and the birth and stuff. And when I went into the hospital, one of those actually started to come true. And one of those sort of like, and so I wasn't there. I was rushed upstairs for an emergency C-section, and he wasn't around. He nipped to the bathroom, and then he came back, and I wasn't there, and he started the whole panic and everything. But then he got upstairs, and they relocated him, and then when he then saw the look on my face, so I was being spoken to by the surgeons and the anaesthetists and things, and he said as soon as he saw the calm on my face and the relief on my face that I wasn't going to have to go through labour and it was all happening, that's when he calmed down, and that's when he went, oh, do you know what, she's all right. But and he does struggle a lot with that those sort of obtrusive thoughts and that visualization of those sorts of things. But yeah, and it's the first time it's really one of them that actually sort of manifested itself in reality. So it was a very different experience to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing, Heather. And that's really, I think the important part of this, a lot of this, is us to be in our own vulnerable state and to be, be real with each other and real with ourselves. I would, if I was coaching you right now, I'd be asking you questions like, how did you feel about that? You try to understand as much as possible about that. But obviously, I wouldn't necessarily do that right now. But certainly, being aware of the fact that our fears can actually become realities. As I said, if you knew the power of a negative thought, you'd never have another one. And I think that's the thing that I learned through going through disease and bankruptcy, to be grateful for the fact that actually I went through those, realizing that I'd created them through my own fears and my own visions, and then going, right, I'm not having this anymore. There must be a better way to do this, because there's other people being successful, and then there's me going through this. How do I sort that out? And I think that that's all I've committed my life to recently. And Stacey says there, I've definitely manifested the good and the challenging parts in my life. Brilliant observation. Brilliant observation. So we must understand what we've done to manifest things, and then change it. Be better. So vision boards can really help. I've got my huge vision board here. I've got another one over there, all my book covers and all sorts of stuff all over there. And I surround myself with things that I love, and people that I love, that really put me into a good vibration, that I can look around, look at my vision boards and think, yeah, good times, good things, and good things to look forward to. The Bagwell vision board is a really useful way to organize it, if that helps you, by putting it into different, it's those 9 boxes again, like my fulfillment grid, right? Very important to understand the things that we would like to visualize and create, because we must create goals. So imagine in your mind now your perfect day, your perfect year. What does it feel like? What does it look like? I'll tell you right now, my perfect day, I live it now. I created it some years ago, and I live it. I wake up in the morning, I get myself moving, get the pain out of my legs, and then I get into my work mode, my purpose. I do this, I do various different other things, spend time with Emma and Frankie, have a great day, work, enjoy every moment of that, and then rest in the evenings, and then go again, and then have holidays in between. That's the perfect day for me. The perfect year, I would spend a few months in a warmer climate than our winter, because I don't love it. So I'm still working on that. But that's important. When you see me hit my perfect year, you'll be like, that's what Mark's been visualizing all these years. You've got to understand the power of that vision and those goals to be able to get where you need to get to. So think on that. Now let's look at e-colors again for a moment, and remembering your percentages. Considering your top and second and possibly even your third e-color, because I can relate to all of these. Let's ask the question, do your strengths help you find purpose? And in fact, purpose, vision, and goals, as we're talking about them. If you look at your strengths, do you think your strengths help you find purpose? So if I spoke to any of the reds, I'm going to do one from each quadrant. So if I speak to any of the top reds on the call, if you are having the opportunity to be decisive and achieve things, is that part of helping you feel good and finding purpose? Any of the reds like to share? Audrey, yes. Straight in, Audrey. Brilliant. Yes. Okay. That's good. Any of the other reds?
Absolutely. And I think getting a new job as part of shows that. So
absolutely, Heather. Absolutely. So all the reds, Reed, Paul, Heather, all saying yes, 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 yes. So actually, if we look at our e-colors as a top red, from the top red perspective we just heard, finding the strengths in ourselves and using those strengths, not overusing them, not overplaying them, but actually using them, can actually help us find purpose. So that's really important to understand. What about top greens? We've definitely got. Oh yeah, Scott says decisive as well. Absolutely, Scott. Thank you. I think we might only have Angela actually as a green, have we? Or probably Emma as well. But Emma had to come and help me from the Frankie going nuts. We've got Stacey as well, haven't we? Angela, from a green perspective, if you looked at your green strengths, being accurate and analytical and logical, would those things there help you find purpose, do you think?
Yeah, they have. But But interestingly, my purpose relates to love, happiness, are quite sort of ethereal things. So I think I'm sort of balancing it out. I mean, my e-colors are fairly similar in all of the four colors, really. But from a top perspective, yeah, I
But
think it
actually,
has.
from my understanding of you, well, I think we've got a call, haven't we, later or tomorrow?
Yeah,
Yeah, we've got a call. But my understanding of you and your perspective of how you've operated in the last few years, I see very much high in the blue as part of your purpose, which is actually, dependable, calm, support.
yeah.
Those things actually very much fit into your purpose of being a nurse and now setting up your own kinesiology, right?
Yeah, and I have to apologise. I think I might be blue green. There was a bit of a mix up. I think I put up my old one there. I've got it wrong, but there is a. I'm similar in both of them,
If
really.
I said to you, there's a lot of people that have very, very similar blue and green percentages
Yeah,
and can
yeah,
flip easily between the two.
yeah. I'm
Yeah,
definitely those two. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, but really cool, right? Thank you. Carolyn, from a blue perspective, there, if you're in that sort of supportive, calm, dependable, loyal piece, does that help you find purpose? Do you think?
Yes, absolutely, because it's all about people and connection with me.
Mm.
So, and that comes out, I think, more in my right-hand side of the brain.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But if we understand this about ourselves, it can help us find our purpose towards actually doing what it is that we would love to do.
yeah, definitely.
And I think you're very much on that journey, aren't you?
Yeah, and even when I look back at when I was doing what I really loved when I lived in Cape Town,
Mm.
compared to now, I'm like, oh my God, I want that back.
Yeah, fine,
Yeah,
okay. But then at least you've had experience of that, and now you
yes,
can work your way back to it.
yeah.
But it's about aligning with self, aligning with purpose. Yeah. So lovely. Thank you, Carolyn. Um, I'm just seeing if there's any other top yellows on. Well, there's Jack and me, I think, isn't there? It's unusual. There's usually loads of yellows. Oh, and Jason as well. So Jason's already sort of spoken certainly about his purpose and what he's put in there, and you look quite well, Jason. To be fair, you don't look too bad, so you're all right. I know you don't feel good, but you look all right. But Jack, from your perspective, if you look at the yellow perspective there, um, what's jumping out at you that's going to help you because you're on a journey, right? You're on a journey of improvement, and
Yeah.
wanting to be better.
I've been so what jumps out at me is optimistic, stimulating and influencing really.
Mm.
But I'll be honest with you, the reason I just turned off my camera is because I got quite emotional because I think I found my purpose.
You think what? Sorry.
I literally, I just turned my camera off because I was getting quite emotional because I literally feel like I've literally just found my purpose.
Okay, good. Do you want to share anything or not?
So I've been doing this for the last literally like I said, been taking it back to basics. And it is originally I wrote down to bring joy, to protect, to provide, to feel gratitude and inspire others to feel safe, loved, happy and confident.
Mm.
And then I mean it might tweak it a bit, but that's the first time I've ever actually written
Good. Well
a
done.
purpose down. So yeah.
Well done. Well done. That's fine. And it's fine to be emotional about this, and it's fine to release emotions. Many of us, and I don't mind you turning your camera off if you want to do that, but many of us, think it's bad to cry. I think it's bad to release energy, in certain ways. And it's not. It's not. It's just that we've decided that in our own beliefs, and other people might have judged us or whatever. But it's so not that. It's such an important thing to release energy and then find your way. So yeah, each of you must understand what you're doing there. Yeah, lots of love in the chat box there for you, Jack, which is really good. So get yourself where you need to be and understand how important it is to understand your strengths as part of finding your purpose. Because like me, Jason, optimistic, enthusiastic, persuasive. I mean, yeah, all of these. As soon as I saw these, I went, yeah, great, that's me. Now, what am I going to do to start taking it out to the world? Not overplay it so I annoy the reds, the greens, and the blues. But what am I going to do with this to make me better and therefore my results better? Someone said to me recently, "Oh, self-development." I love self-development because the more I develop myself, the more money I earn. And I said, yeah, well played. Absolutely right. So the next question has to be then, do your potential limiters hinder finding purpose. Same question again, really. I'm conscious we've only got 5 minutes and some of you might have to drop off, but I don't have to drop off myself for a few minutes after that. But do your potential limiters hinder finding purpose? Be honest with yourselves. Yeah. Take a moment. Think about this. If I look at the yellows, yeah, big time. Big time. My potential limiters in there in the yellow can hinder me finding my purpose. If I'm excitable, reactive, undisciplined, some of those other words I don't love. The point is we need to understand that, yeah. Stacey says yes, yeah, massively. Audrey says hinders living your purpose. Yeah, good point, Audrey. Yeah, yeah. Understand that completely. Okay, so this is the important part of coaching, isn't it? This is the important part of why we do what we do, every single one of us, whether we work together one-to-one or whether we work with other groups or whatever we're doing in our companies or within our relationships, or whatever we're doing. These are the issues. Yeah, these potential limiters can hinder us finding or living purpose, as Audrey says. So we must understand this. That's why that premium report is so important. You know, if we start to understand it, we start to feel happier because we can move forwards. Recently, some children were asked to talk about when they were taking a penalty. I've shown some of this before, but I think it's fun. They answered in their top colour groups. The results were as follows. Greens, thinking, lots and lots of detail. If I move the ball an inch to the left and 19 pounds, I can, whoa. Yeah, but that's how a top colour green would be thinking a lot of the time about all of the details. The top colour blue might be thinking, oh, I'm a bit nervous and I don't want to let my team down and, I might get embarrassed and that kind of thing. These, again, are potential limiters which could stop us from achieving our purpose, our vision, or in this case, the goal to score the penalty. Yellows might get distracted and think everyone's looking at them and aren't they great, and etc. etc. And the reds might just be like, well, I'll just put it in the net, right? But ultimately, we all have these strengths and potential limiters that can cause us to be on track or off track, and we must get those. So Bob Proctor talks about goals, and he says you need to set big goals. And yeah, myself, Paul Grant, and the rest of the team, in all of our individual ways, are setting huge goals, which is important. Be productive when you set your goals. Achieve them. Make sure that you're comfortable, that you can start to make steps towards achieving your big goal and get it out there. Watch out for your belief systems as well. We all fail our way to success. Be comfortable with that. It's okay. You're going to fail at something that you're not fully in harmony with. So you need to keep working on yourself and indeed everything else around you to make it occur in a way that you would be happy with. Follow those strengths, manage your potential limiters. You are also unique. There's a purpose for you. So there are things that bind us and there are things that make you completely unique. There's a purpose for you, but do not live someone else's dream. Make sure you align with your own purpose, vision and goals and get on board, okay? And stay on purpose 100%. Everything can be off course. If you have the right purpose, you'll end up with the right vision and then the right goal. Start with yourself. Always start with yourself, okay? Stop pointing at others or blaming others or talking about others. Start with yourself. Forgive yourself, and then you can start forgiving others. They're all doing their best. Accept others, or if you can't accept them, then find other people to be around, and be grateful. Gratitude is the key point. These are the antidotes to the fears and the things that Lewis was talking about last week. The pathway to appreciation is up there at the top of the mountain, and that's the key. Yeah, we might start with some doubts. We start to understand ourselves. Let's get to appreciation and understanding diversity of thought. Decide, believe, take action, make your positive habits, and you will see better results. I guarantee it. Absolutely guarantee it. Okay. You can find a coach, someone to work with. Of course you can. Be willing to change and move forward, and always be honest with yourself. And leave every person you come into contact with the impression of increase. I know Scott really liked that. And I think that's a key point. So I'll take the screen share off in a minute and we can discuss that. But thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate every single one of you. Just made it to 10. Scott, do you want to talk a little bit about that quote and what it's meant to you about leaving everyone with the impression of increase?
Yeah. I think the best way is probably to give you an example, and that would be since I started kind of talking to Mark and you know and sitting in these sessions most weeks, I've kind of changed. You know, I do a lot of recruiting just now, and a lot of the just at this moment the project I'm working on is a lot of guys from India, Middle East. You know, English is the second language. It can get frustrating sometimes, but I've intentionally even folks who send me CVs and I know they're not suitable for this project, I'm actually taking the time of sending them an email and having a chat, asking them how they are. Although it only probably has a you know an outcome to that individual person, but getting in that mind frame of appreciating other people will take the time to send their CV, not blowing smoke up their backside, but trying to be a little bit more sensitive instead of being, you know, kind of gung ho, which I have been over the years. It's changed my mind, as in, yeah, I need to put myself in their shoes and kind of understand how they feel. So, and I can see, I can believe it or not, I can see results from that change in my mindset.
Already.
People are reaching out to me more.
Mm.
I don't think it's a coincidence.
And actually, you just posted something yesterday really interesting that your daughter has come out as a blue-yellow e-color,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
that's gonna raise some interesting conversations for you and daughter, I think.
So she's going to be my coachee, Mark,
Yes.
for my two practical coaching sessions. So
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's just changing, and when you see those positive outcomes because of change, then it gives you a kind of kick up the backside. And
Yeah. Well, it's just a change of mindset. You know, it's interesting to hear this stuff, but it's only when you put it into practice that you start to see the
yeah,
change. And
and
it works with every human being every single time.
I'll give you an example of that. Another example, actually, someone I hadn't spoke to for. I used to work with him offshore, and he just reached out to me just now, and he had actually worked with Transocean and knew Lewis, but he just reached out just now. He said, "Yeah, I seen your advert, your daughter doing a premium report. Um, I would love to do mine now. Can we hook up? You know, so you see people reaching out, and people are genuinely interested, and not just that, but various other stuff.
So thank you, Scott. I really appreciate that. What you've done there, you're going through the practitioner process. So you're going to become an e-commerce practitioner with us, which is wonderful. And you're going to use this yourself. So taking your daughter through her premium report is going to be a really great observation piece for you as well. So thank you for that. I must just welcome Jane. Jane, the clocks have changed, and we're just finishing, but.
Oh no! Oh no! I didn't realize
That's
that. Oh
fine.
my
That's fine. That's
gosh.
fine. But please stay on when we let everyone go because I want to catch up with you for a couple of minutes anyway.
Okay. Okay,
Brilliant.
thank you.
Brilliant.
I'm so sorry,
Welcome. No,
everyone.
no. I saw you turn up an hour late and I was like, oh, brilliant. I have to say hi.
Oh,
Don't worry.
so
Don't worry. Don't worry. It's fine. And Paul Grant, actually, I'd just like to come to you before I go around to see any other business from anybody. But Paul, you came to me some time ago about the vision for Equilibria aligned to the observation of Coca-Cola. Do you just want because that is a big goal, right? So you don't have high yellow. You don't consider yourself to be a high yellow kind of visionary kind of person, although you're surrounded by lots of yellows, which is quite interesting. But where did that come from? Was that you that decided that? And do you want to share it with everybody? And just the piece I'm talking about. I'm sure you know what I'm saying.
And I think when I read that about Coca-Cola that they wanted everyone in the world to taste a Coke, and I really just thought, well, we would love everyone in the world to try e-colors. They don't have to. They don't have to do anything with it, but some will, some won't. But just giving people the taste of it, so that they can decide if it can add value or not for them.
Absolutely, that's a big goal, though. That's a big Bob Proctor set a big goal, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't get any bigger than 8 billion people, does it?
That's right.
But that's relevant, and I like that because I don't know how that's going to happen. But you spoke to me about that, and I bought in. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and I think that's a big part of what we're talking about here. So thank you, Paul. Appreciate that. Anyone else like to just sort of round up anything about today? I mean, it's been really interesting hearing everybody. But before some people have had to go. So anyone else like to share anything? Are we all going to take away some homework and think about our purpose and our strengths and how our potential limiters might limit us, you know, from getting to the purpose, vision, goals? You know, there's always work to do. Thank you, Carolyn. That's great. There's always work to do for all of us. So continue on the journey, everybody. So I'll let you all go. Jane, please do hang back. I'll stop the recording for a second now. So thank you all for being here, and I'll see you all very, very soon.